I'm just sitting here thinking on tomorrow's Ironjaws. And to be honest, like when I sat down and started this, I did not think that I was going to come up with anything meaningful. I did not think I was going to come up with anything meaningful, but I feel like I did. I feel like I got something. Thanks to all my patrons, Baron of Dice, Buy Some Dice, Wiberian, you know the drill. So, there's this idea that has been floating around that I've seen people talk about and that I've been thinking about, which is some rules that are too powerful in armies that create a negative impact on the points allocation of units. So, some examples could be, what was a really good example? I guess we can talk orcs, right? So let's talk about Ironjaws, right? Or let's talk about Cruel Boys. The Venom Encrusted Weapon rule is such a good rule, where it just gives like these mortals on 6s, that everything else in the army has to be balanced around that ability. And so everything has to be bad, because the ability is so good, you know? Some examples in Ironjaws. Uh-oh. One sec. Had to protect my onions. So a good example in Ironjaws is Violent Fury. Violent Fury is such a good ability just to give a flat +1 damage on their melee attacks that all the units have to be balanced around them. So, or balanced around that ability, Violent Fury. So when Gore Gruntas have Violent Fury, they slap, and when they don't have Violent Fury, you feel like you're paying 170 points for something that's a wet noodle. And what it does, effectively, it makes Violent Fury mandatory. It makes it mandatory. Without Violent Fury, it's not very good. That's why Ironjaws run like 3 War Chanters. It's not for the beats. It's for the Fury. It's definitely for the Fury. Right? And then, okay, well, now Ironjaws is kind of the samey all the time because you're going to have a bunch of War Chanters and a bunch of pigs because they're the best. Mighty Destroyers, Violent Fury, delivery systems, the end, right? Well, okay, like, good. You know, it's like... So there's some rules that I think are just going to be gone out of Ironjaws because they're too good, you know. Like Venom Encrusted Weapons took a significant nerf, and I don't think that Venom Encrusted Weapons is going to be crit mortals. I think Bolt Boys are going to have crit auto wound. I think it'll be way easier to balance the game around, and Bolt Boys can still do damage without just like bypassing wards. And we have ways of removing wards, right? So anyway, I digress. So here are my predictions for all of the sort of big rules that we have in Ironjaws and what I think they're going to look like in 4th. Right, so Smashin' and Bashin' I think is going to be replaced with some form of Strike First. I don't know where it's going to come from. It could come from heroes. It could just be on War Scrolls, like charge. If you charge, you strike first, right? It could just be things like that we see all over the place. Who knows? But I think we won't see a rule that's called Smashin' and Bashin', I think. Or maybe we will, but it won't be anything like Smashin' and Bashin' is now. And I think it'll be some form of strike first. It could also be like fight twice, but I don't think it'll be like anything like it is now. For the Ironjaws Wa, I think we're just gonna lose it. I think it'll just be gone completely. Like we won't have a rule that's called Ironjaws Wa. I think it'll go the way of Big Wa and the way of the Cruel Boys Wa, and will just be maybe like a Spearhead rule instead. Violent Fury, I think, is also going to be gone just completely as an idea. Again, we might see the name reused, but I think that it's just going to become on like War Scrolls, like charge +1 damage. It's not going to be any kind of like rule where where you just give it out. It'll just say on War Scrolls. Because if you had charge +1 damage on a War Scroll, and then you also had an ability like Violent Fury and you were adding 2 to the damage, things are probably getting out of hand, and we're back into that like have to design around the landscape that we were complaining about at the beginning. So Violent Fury, I think, will just be gone. It'll just be some kind of War Scroll buff on our hammer units, let's say. War Beats, I think, will still exist. I think that some form of 3d6 charge will still exist, and I don't see why it would leave the War Chanter. That's kind of what the War Chanter does. It's like I'm going to have an aura, and then I'm going to bang my drum, and then someone's going to go running in faster. And we need 3d6 charges because we're just such a slow army. Right? So, like, we'll have some form of 3d6 charge, and I can't imagine that it's going to leave the War Chanter. So, the only thing that's left is Mighty Destroyers. And Mighty Destroyers is a key Ironjaws rule. We're a very slow army, and Ironjaws is the way, Mighty Destroyers is the way that we do movement shenanigans. Moreover, we've seen from all these other armies, a lot of them, the rules that they've had for their army rules have been significantly reduced and fundamentally are like one core rule and then maybe something added on in addition. Cruel Boys is only the dirty tricks. Seraphon is pretty much only the asterisms. Everything revolves around asterisms. Hedonites of Slaanesh are all about the I can't remember what it's called. Aroused? I can't remember what it's called. They have like one keyword that everything centers around, right? I can't remember what it is. Yeah, so I feel like why we need Mighty Destroyers. So I think it'll just be Mighty Destroyers. It'll be like moving shenanigans. Maybe it'll be charge based shenanigans. Maybe that'll be like some kind of 3d6 charge thing, or it'll be like moving in the hero phase maybe, or it'll be, you know, like auto running 6 to multiple units. It'll sort of be what the Mega Boss used to do with his Mighty Destroyer buff, like 2 or 3 units, right? So it'll be something kind of tied into that, right? And I hope it'll be more expansive. It might also take things from the Bloodtooth sort of subfaction, like moving after you fought, right? It might put those things on War Scrolls, but it also might be part of this bigger overall rule that's called Mighty Destroyers, right? So we'll see. And I hope it's not based on command points, because Mighty Destroyer, that's another thing too. Mighty Destroyers is a command point ability, so it has to be fundamentally changed no matter what. So why not make Mighty Destroyers the, like the rule, right? Because we're only kind of picking one rule, and then this can apply to all the Ironjawz, right? All of them move, and all of them care about moving, right? So you might as well, like, you know, it's like it makes total sense to me. I told you I was productive. I told you I got something. I'm feeling good about this prediction. We'll see. We shall see. And then just a few thoughts on some other units. Perhaps I think Ardboys will just have like a anti-charge +1 rend mechanic, something like that. I have no idea what the big pigs and the pigs are going to look like at all. No clue what they're going to look like. Momentum wasn't very good, so I hope it's different, right? And I just can't see them like... They don't want monster tables, and Momentum is a monster table, right? They want it simpler than that, right? They don't want people looking at those, at like reference materials. They want it just to be easy, right? Easy to remember and easy to play. So Momentum, I think, will be completely changed into something. We shall see tomorrow morning. Yep, Brutes, I think, will still do what they do. I think Gore Grunches will still do what they do. They're just going to not have Violent Fury, and they're going to have something on their War Scroll instead. Right, so we'll see what that is. I'm sure that they all look scary. We'll just see what their points are like, right? What else is there? Yeah, the War Chanter is just going to be the beats. Get them beat, fix and beat, right? That'll be it. We'll see what those beats are. The Weird Knob, we'll see what the spell lore is like. That's ultimately it. I'm curious if maybe endless spells, probably not. And I'm really curious if we have Faction Terrain as the rogue idol, because oh my, we probably won't have it, to be honest. Yeah, no Faction Train, I guess, reveals yet, but we'll see. We probably won't get that revealed tomorrow. We might have the same Faction Train in both armies, though. We might not become 2 books, you know? We might stay 1. We might just be 2 armies in 1 book, right? And just be Auric War Clans, and just be the 2 of them. And then have these weird, like faction added on stuff where it's like both, and right? So it's like, you know, like I was saying before, like whatever they're called, Regiments of Renown, you know, where you just have like a battle thing. Whatever. Not making any sense. But it's Big Wa. Right? So, but it sucks, so you can't take it competitively, but it's there. We might turn into something like that. But we shall see. We shall see. Like, subscribe. Wah.